I can't believe I'm saying this. Elden Ring is a true masterpiece. After years of not touching a single Soulsborne game, just because the idea of fighting a boss for straight 10 hours just to learn his mechanics, and meanwhile the guy can just one shot or two shot you just seems ridiculous to me at that time. But now, since I completed the Elden Ring, putting more than 60 hours in the game, I'm convinced it's a must play for any gamer, doesn't matter what kind of games you play. But you may ask, why now out of all times I want to play this game? It's been 2 years since its release. Well, nowadays if you take a look at all the AAA titles, pretty much all of them seems like some boring ass game without any innovation or consideration or any passion. Made to purely churn out the profits for the studio. I mean, take a look at these games. These are AAA titles which were recently released. Does any of these shouts AAA title to you? Nope, not to me. I don't even blame these studios. People like us buying it and they keep making it more. It's a pure business perspective for them now. But enough about this. If I keep on talking on this topic, it will be a long ass video. And I'm not saying all the AAA titles are bad games. I mean, I have played the games like Old Witcher 3, which by the way is still a fantastic looking game, to the games like Cyberpunk 2077, all the Spider-Man titles and all the God of War titles, and many more. FromSoftware, known for their masterful Soulsborne titles, took a bold leap with this one, embracing the vast expanse of an open world. We rarely get such games once in a while, like we got one in 2016 Witcher 3. To look at another perspective of why I want to play these games right now, let's just take a look at the games which I play in my majority of my times. Did you notice the pattern already? All of these games are either multiplayer or shooter games. And these games, they get repetitive or they will have some bad patches or update. You just want some breath of fresh air. And this seems a perfect time for me to pick up Elden Ring. And apart from that, since it's been released over 2 years, there are a lot of guides, builds, everything you'd ever want to know about this game is available online. And also with the soon to release DLC for this game. If I like this game, there is more to play. I can just pick up the DLC and play it more. So today we're gonna talk about how a non-Soulsborne gamer fell in love with Elden Ring. Here is how we're gonna go with this video. We'll split it into 4 sections. The first section will be the first few hours of the game. The second would be the world of the game. Third would be the gameplay. And the final fourth one will be my personal opinions as to why I got hooked up to this game. So here I am. I just booted up the game, selected the astrologer as the class because I always wanted to be a mage. After seeing all those boss fights on the YouTube and whatnot, I just wanted to stay away from the boss and just spam my spells. And also I'm not into customization. I just took what game offered me and just pressed next, watched a cutscene, which by the way was very amazing, and here I am in the lands in between. The first few hours were rather interesting, I would say. It was like that one girl who you like on the first date itself, but you are worried sick that she might be too much for you. Immediately after opening these gates, there I was in the lands between, such a beauty. After touching the site of grace, I went and talked with the NPC. He told me how I am a tarnished and like many others, I also came for the ring. And during this, he also called me maidenless, which I felt was quite rude, facts, but it was rude. This pissed me off and I tried to fight with this guy and then this happened. Fuck you. Yep, he beat the shit out of me. And just like any other gamer, the first thing I did after this was to open a YouTube and try to look up for some beginner tutorials. Yeah, I was that kind of never played a Souls game before gamer. Looked at some of tutorials and the ones made by Vati Vidya were really useful. He told me about the basics of combat rule, dodge, block, stagger, attacks, and about exploration, itemization, and many other stuff. I think this is a very good video for beginners and it's a must, I would say. And after watching this, I felt quite confident and ready to jump into the game. I didn't even know you can hit NPCs. That's the kind of freedom I was in for. And yup, I still wasn't able to defeat the guy. So I just said fuck it, I'm gonna go explore the world. And I saw some pretty interesting things. First, I saw this giant soldier sitting on his big ass horse with his big ass axe, swinging it all over. Then I saw this dragon, which was a regular dragon with fire coming out of its mouth. Then I saw this troll like thing, which was taking some cart on his back somewhere, I don't know how. And then this pumpkin head cat, I don't know what it is on its head. So, in the beginning, I got a lot of encounters and interaction with the enemies and NPCs alike. And it seemed like a lot of enemies or all of them just wanted to kill me. It was scary, but it was beautiful at the same time. And I knew I was in a right for with this game. The world of Elden Ring is quite beautifully built, and the story is quite simple and quite complicated at the same time. When you wake up, you are at a place called Lands Between, where the Elden Beast crashed with the Elden Rings a long before. And the Elden Ring grants the power of Elden Rod to whoever wields it. The dragons were the first to wield the Elden Rings, after which a human named Marika comes along and takes it away from the dragons. And then she confines the rune of death, making her and her demigod offsprings immortal, and they together established a golden order. The golden order governs the Lands Between with rules and all. The one night, the Godwin, the son of Marika, gets assassinated. This ensures the shattering of the Elden Ring. The mother of Godwin, Marika, shatters the ring with her hammer. And the Elden Ring is split into some great runes. And each member of Golden Order holds one rune, which corrupts them eventually. Then Marika gets punished for this trespassing by imprisoning her in the Earth Tree itself. Now, you as a Tarnished, who were devastated of their grace and were exiled from the Lands Between, it's your duty to assemble the Elden Ring and save the Lands Between. Immediately after setting your first step into the Elden Ring, the first thing you might notice is the Earth Tree. More about it later though. Then you are told that you have came here to be the Elden Rod and to save the Lands Between. You see no landmarkers on your HUD, no point of interest, no side or main quest. You just gotta use your old pair of eyes and find your next quest and find your next objective on your own. Now, my pea brain, which was already corrupted by playing these spoon feeding AAA titles, was not able to comprehend this kind of freedom. I was accustomed to shit popping on my head every time, and I followed them subconsciously. Hell, initially you don't even have your horse with you. You just run like a maniac and try to figure things out. Fighting enemies, finding NPC are all done on the foot initially. After sitting at a site of grace, you got to talk with the Melina and get your horse. And then the real world opens up. The world of Elden Ring is quite unique. It's like you have been provided with 1,000-piece puzzle and asked to assemble it to see the full picture without any assist. When you see a location which interests you, the closer you get to it, the farther it goes. And it's one of these moments which makes you ask, How big is Elden Ring? The answer? It's pretty damn big. Our goal at the beginning of the game is to explore the lands between and find our way to Lindell, royal capital. However, the front door stays locked until we have got a handful of gate runes, which we can collect by toppling key bosses monsters with the surrounding regions. So, the game begins in the Limgrave, a lush woodland region pockmarked by ruins, underground caves. Upon the hill, we'll find the Sombir castle. There are a lot of different regions in the Elden Ring, like the one Limgrave, where you will find the first major boss encounter. Lurny of Lakes, which is a swamp region infesting with its subterranean lobsters, glintstone mages, and horrifying revenants. This is where you will find the key to enter the Academy of Raya Lucaria, which is home to many sorceries, and here you will find your second main boss. You can skip this region entirely. Ensel River. It features a sprawling cave system with large open caverns, housing ruins and waterfalls. You can access the southern part of the region by taking the lift down at the Ensel River well. The Altus Plateau is one of the main regions in the Elden Ring. This leads you to the city of Rendal. This region can be accessed by opening the Grand Lift, or this can also access after making your way through the Ravine Veiled Village, the Miner's Caves and Rune Streams Precepts, and defeating the Magma Viren, Kaled. It's a rot-infested region in the Elden Ring. The Kaled region is located east of the Limgrave, so most of the new players might stumble upon this hard region of the map. This is also known as the locale for the last battle between General Radahn, and here you can start the Radahn festival to start one of the main boss fights with the General Radahn. Nokron Eternal City. The Nokron Eternal City is a sprawling city rune located a level above Siofra River. This is a hidden underground location. After defeating Radahn, there will be a giant meteor which will strike a hole in the Limgrave. You can access this city via traversing through that crater, the mountaintop of the giants. It is one of the final areas. This area is completely covered with snow. Here you will find another major boss encounter which you need to do to progress the story even further. All these areas are not bordered each other in a single massive map. Instead, they are like small maps, which leads to next one, which means you can't go to Limgrave to Mount Gelmir without first trekking through the Lernia and the Altus Plateau. This dot-to-dot world layout keeps a structure to the world of the Elden Ring. A lot of grays of sites have a wisp golden light coming out of them. This points the right direction towards your next goal or major boss. This helps the player with navigating the map and keeps the frustration out. So, this is the kind of freedom the game offers in terms of navigation. There are over 150 boss fights in the Elden Ring, and you need to fight only 12 of them to finish the game. All the major locations have a legacy dungeon in each of them, with a major boss holding a great rune each. And these bosses can be done in any way possible. Hell, you can only defeat any two possible bosses and enter the city of Lindell. And it's a brilliant game design choice by FromSoftware, knowing it will be a wondrous experience for the players when they stumble upon these non-necessary fights by themselves, giving them a sense of achievement in the exploration. All this legacy dungeon can be reached with many different ways. Apart from this, there are a lot of underground catacombs spread all across the world, which you may stumble upon while exploring. There are also mini dungeons like Castle Mon, Caria Manor, and Shaded Castle. Oh, and there is even a pretty massive underground that includes Siofra River beneath Limgrave, And if you kill Radon, like I said before, it will reveal a secret part to the Nokron city. Random NPCs telling about secrets of the world or giving you quests. Like if you talk to the Rani in the Caria Manor and complete her quest line, you can fight General Radon without touching a site of grace in the Altus Plateau. So there are several ways to beat the game, and this ensures that each player will have a different and unique experience while finishing this game. So overall, you will never forget the accidental chest you stumbled upon, or the secret passage you discovered after smashing a wall or getting close to it, or opening a chest and getting teleported to somewhere else. Giant tortoise running around with a bell attached below and a castle on their back. Each is unique in their own way. And apart from this, there is this giant earth tree which you can pretty much see from anywhere. And you know that this is your end destination. Elden Ring traps players into a loop of discovering whilst showing them their end goal. I mean, think of it. You are doing something so passionately and don't know where it ends, you would certainly be discouraged. So I think this giant earth tree, looking upon the whole Elden Ring's map, is also plays a huge part in the game to make the exploration a bit more interesting and motivating. I also think the Elden Ring doesn't forget about his roots of being a Souls-like game. Let me explain how. The first part of the Elden Ring is pretty open world and free form. And the second part, there is a less to explore, you are giving a less freedom. There are series of bosses which you need to fight to finish the game. You have some queue of boss fights. The first is Jordan Ofnir, Godfrey, first Elden Lord Radagon of the Golden Order, and the Elden Beast. So yeah, at the second part, here we are beating our heads against the walls, since you cannot advance to next boss until you fight the previous one and defeat it. The combat of Elden Ring is very unique, as the game is the Soulsborne type, which is the very definition of the combat type. It is very similar to that of Soulsborne, not as punishing as Dark Souls, but pretty similar. There is heavy emphasis on the dodge and rolling outside of the attack, as the rolling has some frames which nullifies the damage received. You can also perfectly block and land a heavy damage with shift plus attack, although I didn't use this mechanic since I played as a sorcerer. So, the combat is basically dodge and attack, and this goes on. It's almost feel like it has its own rhythm to it, and to beat this game you need to learn this. Also, the game has a stagger break mechanic, which means you and all the enemies has a hidden stagger meter. Once you break this, you can land a heavy damage to the enemy. This can be very helpful at times. The normal attack does very little stagger damage as compared to the heavy attack, which deals almost 3 times that of normal attack. But I didn't use this mechanics a lot because this was my first time playing this game and I was primarily focused on just winning the battles. All the regions has a very difficulty in the Elden Ring, and the difficulty is hard set for each region. It doesn't scale with your level. You might land in Caelid, which is a 70 plus recommended level region, and since it's right next to Limgrave, which is opening area, you might stumble upon Caelid and die like 100 times. So the game might feel a little bit of grindy because you need certain level before going into the some of the regions. Otherwise, you might feel some difficulties per se. There are various enemy type in this game. It depends upon the parts of region you are in, varying from soldiers in Limgrave, crabs and lobsters in Lake of Lernia, sorcerers from Raya Lucaria, and you will face many enemies, from ranged ones to the ones who will just jump into your face. To kill them, either you need to be stupidly high level or learn their movesets, the latter being the easy one. Otherwise, the weakest of the enemies might feel a nightmare to you. As I said before, there are over 150 bosses in this game. A lot of them, specifically the ones in the main story, has a very movesets and mechanics. And whole lot even have a second phase for the fight. The longer the fight goes, the harder and fiercer the boss gets. The second phase makes as if you are fighting two bosses in one. It's hard, but when you defeat the boss, oh boy, the sense of achievement is just wonderful. Sometimes you might even have to make specific builds so you can beat these bosses. Now, talking about building sets, there are a shit ton of weapons, armors, shields, spells, etc. And also crafting potions, which I haven't even scratched the surface of. Lot of weapon has weapon arts. There are also these ashes of war, which can provide a whole lot of unique movesets to your weapon. There is dual wielding and many more. You can be a sorcerer wielding a wand or a sorcerer with a freaking katana in his hand. You can have summons to aid you in your fight. Hell, you can summon your own duplicate using a mimic tier summon, which is what I was using in the later parts of the game. You can play this game in many different ways with different builds. All this said, you can play this game however you want. You can play it without leveling up, you can play using a sorcerer build, you can play it with a heavy sword or a bow, whatever you like. Hell, I have seen players beat this game using bare hands or just summons or using just bows and arrows. There are infinite creative ways of beating this game and the sky is your limit. And I think Elden Ring is the only or maybe it's one of the games which allows you to do this. And this is very unique to this game. Oh boy. This can be a little hard to tell because there is so much in this game and I have played only 60 plus hours or so. But I'll try my best. Since it's the first Soulsborne game I have ever played, there are a lot of different things that made me addicted to this game and made me to make this video. First of all, the graphics of the game is just phenomenal. Although the game runs at 60 FPS, which I wasn't very happy about, but I'm for sure there might be some kind of technical difficulties or reason behind this from the FromSoftware. There is rich and infinite lore for this game. I could spend hours and hours talking about lore itself and watching a unhealthy amount of YouTube videos about the lore of this game. The rhythmic combat is also very interesting and there are a lot of things like this. But out of all things, the interesting aspect of the game for me was the unknown. The unknown lying in the castle above me, or the unknown loot I might find around the corner. The unknown boss I might get to fight when I enter this greenish smoke wall. Or the unknown broken build I can make using the loot which I just found. The world is just huge, and without any markers on the HUD or quest popping on HUD or map, I just get to be me, get my sturdy horse and just explore. I'm not in a hurry to complete the main story, because most of the time it feels like there isn't even a main story to follow. You have to piece the story together, which on its own is a unique part about this game. It was like I have rediscovered the one cause which made me pick up gaming as my hobby. The daily lives of ones can be hectic and so was mine. But the gaming allowed me to indulge in a different world and just explore and just be me. And Elden Ring allows this in very peculiar way. You can't take exploration for granted, because the hurdles, the hard ones I might say, which you will face while going from A to B, and this just makes the exploration whole lot interesting and better. It's like you are being rewarded for the hard work you put in, and I will always appreciate a game for this, and the same goes for the Elden Ring. So, there is my 2 cents about the Elden Ring. I will say it has been a beautiful journey till now, and I'm looking forward to and excited about the new game plus and of course the upcoming DLC. If you liked the video, do as your heart says. Follow that light of grace in your heart. And please provide comments if you think I can improve anything in the future. Although it's my first video and I'll try to keep posted on this channel regularly. Thank you.